Oh, let me shut this window. Sometimes it conflicts. It doesn't seem backlit, so I think we're good. You too, Zoe. I hope you're having a great day. Schools were canceled here. Virtual learning was canceled because of all the power outages. So my kids don't have school today. We had yesterday off because it's President's Day. And yeah, it feels like vacation. Yes, Illinois Baker, of course. Yes, it's recorded and you can watch it back later. You don't have class either? Did someone... Hello, Kwan. We are going to be talking about, I'll wait until it's 1 o'clock, but we're just going to be talking about labels. So when you start your cottage food operation, you have to do labeling, and I feel like that's one of the most common questions when you start the process because it's really convoluted and confusing. So we're just going to talk about it and see what kind of questions you guys have, and I'll do my best to answer. But county to county, things change, so hopefully we can. Hi from Canada. Hi. Earlid, hello. I want to pronounce your name correctly. East Coast, Vanessa, I hope you're staying safe with all the snow too, in Texas and the West. I mean, I feel like this weather's been crazy. -degrees in Dallas, and then North Carolina I hear is getting hit. And then the whole city shut down with the rain here. I mean, with the snow. Rain is no biggie. The snow, we can't go anywhere. We can't drive. So I don't have any ingredients for macarons. So that's why this is perfect for today, because we'll just be talking. Hello from North Carolina. Yes, I hope the weather's okay for you. Yeah, so it's just crazy weather all around. Our schools didn't close. Oh, Zoe, you're still in school. Hi, Michelle. Hello from Mexico. I would like to thank you. Oh, Kwan, I'm so happy to hear that. I did it correctly. Oh, good. I'm glad I said your name correctly. Let's see here. None of this is relevant. Paula. Yeah, can you guys sell in the UK from home? You guys have some type of home business license there? I'm curious. Hi from Oklahoma. Round 4, I think. Wow, of bad weather. Hi, Brian. Nice to have you here. I shared a story one time about Brian because he emailed me about this big bowl he got, and I just love being able to see you in the chat. So thanks for coming here. Hello from Greece. Kwan. Oh, T-minus 30 degrees? 30 degrees there? Oh my goodness. Okay, so it is 1 o'clock. We can get started. Hi, Jody. Marilyn, I think did you ask about how to get a thick batter? It could definitely be your recipe, or if you use the recipe I use on this channel, then it could definitely be that your meringue is breaking down too fast, and egg white powder really helps, or cream of tartar if you don't have egg white powder available. Hello from Hong Kong. Hi, Tobias. Okay, guys, so let's get to talking. For those who have cottage food businesses or are excited to start their own business, but they are stuck on the labeling and all of that, all the requirements, then this live is for you specifically. And then at the end, I'll also show a little bit about royal icing, because people have been asking about royal icing. So I'll just share about about transfer sheets and how I did those little bows on the hearts, and kind of relevant to the last two, or just however many videos ago it was that we did royal icing, the lip macaron one. So 2 videos ago, I put out a lip video showing how you can use royal icing before baking. And then I also realized you can do royal icing transfer sheets, transfers, and put them on your designs because they're dry and they won't. Because if you do too big of a design on your macarons in royal icing before you bake, it's gonna break open unless you dry them for hours, and then you have too big of gaps. So to combat hollows and to have cool royal icing designs, you can do royal icing transfers, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so labels. So I don't have a cottage food business anymore. I don't sell at this point. I moved last summer, and hi Allison, and I just haven't, I can't sell from my home here because I have dogs in my house. I can't sell here because I have doggies in my house. Hi Leah. So I don't have a cottage food business, and we're only here for 2 years. So to build up a community and a customer base at this point would be really difficult, and then move, it would break my heart, because your relationship with your customers is the absolute best thing about having your own business, is having those repeat customers and people share about what you're giving them. So I am not selling at this point, but I did, and I will share what I know from Pasadena and a general knowledge of how inconsistent, even in the same area, your environmental health or agriculture or whatever department your state runs the CFO companies through. So labels. I would have a primary label like this. So it had my name on it. You have to put in a certain font that is made in a home kitchen, or a certain size font so you can see it. And then you have to have, each state is different, each county is different. Hi Susie. Because some require you to put your whole address on there, which I don't agree with. I think that's a little scary, seeing as how people can take advantage of knowing your address. But in Pasadena, at least, we only had to put our zip code, and then you have your permit number on here, right? So this was my primary label. I would not include my ingredients on this. That was my choice. You can have a big label that has everything on it, such as this. So it has, these were my really old labels. So this is what I turned into the health department, or environmental health. And it had my name, you know, that it was made in a home kitchen, my permit, and then the ingredients. So we have, for macaron bakers, a ton of ingredients in our, hi, happy Mardi Gras. I know, hi Dora, I've never experienced a Mardi Gras, so I always forget what day it is, but happy Fat Tuesday. So for the labels, it can be a lot, because if you have 12 different flavors in one, oh, thank you. Is it as are? Thank you so much. Gonna make some Cinnabons. Oh my goodness. That sounds really delicious right now. I just made some banana bread. We had some extra bananas lying around per usual, so I made some banana bread. Okay, so if we had 12 different flavors of macarons, everyone's always asking, like, how do you include every single ingredient from every single filling on your box of macarons? That would take up the entire box and look ugly. So I felt like the easiest way to do that, Ashton. Well, hello Ashton, thank you so much. I feel like the easiest way is to have a primary label. So that's this. It showcases your business, your branding, and your permit number, the most important stuff for people to get a hold of you again. And then, yes, and then you can have a secondary label, which will have shell ingredients, which will do like your generic shell ingredients, right? So each shell probably has, I mean, sometimes people do chocolate and freeze-dried fruits or something in your shell, but for the most part, it's all the same. And the main things we're worried about, right, is your almonds, your tree nuts, and having that labeled. So I'll have like, I don't know if it's reversed for you guys. Can you read that, or is it reversed? I'm giving everyone my old number. Okay, so let me, either way, I think it's reversed, huh? Oh, we can read it. Okay, cool. So I have my shell and then the filling, right? And people are always asking, awesome, thank you guys. Hi, Courtney. Okay, people are always asking, how much do we put in? And I recommend putting every single thing that you see. If you have flour, put in all of the, so I have a wheat flour in my pumpkin brioche loaf right here, and I put in the wheat flour, malted barley flour, niacin, reduced iron, everything that's labeled on your flour container, put it in. You don't, I know some people just do the shorthand, but some people are allergic to cornstarch, right? And if you just put powdered sugar, you might not realize that there's corn in your product and kind of have it registered, because I've had someone allergic to corn. And putting everything in will at least give your customer the education they need if they do have an allergy. Because, you know, people with allergies, it's all consuming, especially if it's a major allergy where they go into like anaphylactic shock. So you want to be super knowledgeable about your product, and you want your customer to be if they need to know. So having everything listed, I recommend. Oh, that's nice, Nancy. Yeah. She said, if you have, well, Zoe, I hope you have a great day. Sorry school wasn't canceled for you. If you have, Nancy said, if you have your business listed in the yellow pages, then you don't need to put your address on your labels. I know that someone, I think in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania somewhere, was saying they had to have their address on it. So it definitely differs. I mean, what are the yellow pages anymore to, it's such a, like, I don't know. How do you register, Nancy, if you have a registered business, is it automatically in the yellow pages? I'm really curious. So if you know, let me know. But yeah, so having everything laid out. So when I was at my farmer's market, I was able to have a grab, like people could build their own boxes, right? So how did I do labels then? When I did that, no, you have to pay for it. Oh, okay. So you have to pay for it. But if you want, I feel like that's worth it probably for the safety of not having to put your address on a label for everyone to know. Thank you, Nancy. So, oh, thank you, Quan. Thank you. Let's see. Chamber of Commerce of your city has a small business listing of numbers. Okay. Thank you, Nancy. I would suggest doing that then, because I would not want my full address on there. Awesome. I'm so happy you've decided to start your own Instagram and bake. If you're interested in selling, then once you guys get to that, if you decide to go to a farmer's market, then a lot of farmer's markets require you to be prepackaged. So you have your boxes already, and then it's kind of easier in the respect, it stinks to have to box everything beforehand because that takes a lot of time, but it's easier in respect to labeling and having all that ready. I allowed people to, or I was able to have people pick and choose, right? And it wasn't seen as preparing on site somehow. And so when I packed up their box, the labeling is hard because they can choose 3 pistachio, 3 strawberry, and I wouldn't have known that, right? and I'm not gonna have a label for every single one. So I just told everyone. I had a sign that said, you know, these have nuts in them, first of all. And then also I had a sheet that had every single label, every single product I had out on my table that day. I had the ingredients. So if they had any question about what was in it, I was able to give them this sheet so that they could see. The health inspectors check farmers markets quarterly, and I had health inspectors check out my area, and that was always okayed by them. So this is Pasadena. I don't know about your specific area. If you guys want to chime in the chat of if you have experience in a farmer's market in a different area, what you have experienced, if you had to have it packaged and whatnot. But I really find it helpful to have a list of everything, multiple lists, so you can hand it out to multiple people. You don't want to run out of them, right? Because this is for the education of your customer if they need it. So that's labels. If you guys have specific questions about them, let me know, because this is for you guys. They can be so confusing. The breakdown of the labeling is by weight. So look at your recipe. This is when it helps that you have your recipe in grams. You know, this is when it helps that macaron bakers are precise and we have gram measurements, because you can see, okay, I have more egg, well, actually more almond flour than egg whites. So you list almond flour, confectioner sugar first, you know, and so on and so forth, until you have the dash of salt at the end. Do you guys have questions? I'm not seeing any questions. I could use a P.O. box. Oh, cool. Nibs said she was able to use a P.O. box, which is a great idea. Another thing you have to pay for, but if you already have it, why not? For some reason, my chat stuff is not coming up on my feed. So let me look at what you guys said. Maryland requires a full address, Vanessa said. Yeah, so some states will require that full address. I wonder, Vanessa, if you could do the P.O. box. But again, is it worth it if it's something you have to pay for monthly? Michigan requires home address where you make your products. Okay. See how different this is? It's so frustrating to have every jurisdiction different. And I've said this before, but I even in Pasadena, I was not able to use egg whites in my, I couldn't use like a Swiss meringue buttercream or an Italian meringue buttercream. It wouldn't be approved. But someone down the street from me, she got it approved somehow. So what I always recommend people do is when you're submitting your labels to whoever your liaison is, between the environmental health or in agricultural department or whatever department your state calls it, whoever your person of contact is, just submit what you want to sell and see what they approve. I made the mistake of pointing out, oh, this one, because I wanted to sell marshmallows, but with my marshmallow recipe I have egg whites and it kind of gets pasteurized like an Italian meringue. So I use egg whites and gelatin in my marshmallows to make them fluffier. And she approved everything, right? And because we were doing it side by side, and I said, well, this one has the egg whites. Is that okay? And she said, oh, thanks for pointing that out. No, you can't sell that. I shouldn't have pointed it out. So I learned very quickly, like, allow them to make that mistake. If so, if it's not, because I know my marshmallow is not going to make anyone sick, right? Egg whites are cooked fully when you add that syrup, your syrup into it. And for some reason, they still won't pass it as safe. But like, as long as you know, like a curd maybe that you make at home, I wouldn't use a curd and try to pass that off. Something that's gonna actually go bad in a few days, be the good Samaritan and make sure your product is shelf stable. But some things like Swiss meringue buttercream are so hard, in Italian we're in buttercream especially, are so hard not to have allowed. And some places don't even allow butter. Like, come on. I think Colorado, right? Is anyone in Colorado? I've heard they have to use margarine for their fillings, and it's just bummer. It is so frustrating, Nancy. I agree. My state doesn't allow P.O. boxes. It's only $364 a year for a P.O. box. So I would think that would be worth it for the safety if you're allowed to. But it sounds like, some states you have to have the kitchen that you're working at in your labeling. Someone should really fight that, because it's not safe for what has happened already. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, but people have been attacked before in the baking industry from a cottage food business. So I really don't love the idea of people knowing exactly where I live. I lived in a townhouse before when I was selling, so I'd always stand outside of the group of houses, and I tried for the most part not to have them see which house I went into, but I mean, people know, but usually you start to develop a relationship and trust them, so it's still awkward. Okay. Because of COVID, do you recommend packaging them all before this? Caitlin, that's a great question. I think it is easier to just package. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a few things. At my farmer's market, I feel like I would have sold more if I had prepackaged. I really wanted everyone to be able to choose their own and everything. And I actually take that back. For my farmer's market, it was a lot of kids coming after school. It was like a 3 p.m. to a 7 p.m. market on a Wednesday afternoon right by a school. So they wanted to be able to just choose one macaron and eat it, right? So packaging up one might be good, and like in little, I hate to say it, little plastic baggies. I hate wasting all that plastic, but what else are you gonna do? And then packaging up threes and packaging up half dozens and dozens would be great, because I think you sell more. When they come in a package, they're like, oh, I'll just grab this whole package, So I think it would be good for less handling too during COVID, especially because I don't know how open farmers markets are for where you are, but I know a lot of them are just grab and goes right now. Okay, let's see here. Are the plant-based butters allowed for filling? Susie asked if the plant-based butters are allowed for fillings and plant-based flours. Plant-based butters. So like vegan butters? I would think so, because then that's like Crisco, right? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I got them approved when I had some vegan options, or dairy-free fillings. They weren't vegan because I had egg whites in my macarons, but are you speaking? It's like make it impossible for cottage food. Yeah, Leah, they do. They make it really hard. And there's good things about it, and there's obviously really frustrating things for us as well. And this is fairly recent, right? So when did they start this? Was it 2012 or 2014 that they started the cottage food laws? And I think there's just no one to head it. They have put people into these spots to, acquire this responsibility, and I don't think anyone's trained in like baking. They don't know how, like, I don't know. I can't speak for them all, so I'm not gonna say it. I mean, they obviously are food inspectors, and they know their stuff. They know their stuff about the well-being of people eating food out, right? Because they are the ones that are checking restaurants and everything like that, health inspectors. But I feel like maybe they don't know as much about the pasteurizing processes and stuff, and it's just hard that it's not all cohesive, but each state is running their own game. Each state is developing their own laws as they go about it. So it makes sense why it's not cohesive, but it's so frustrating for us, right? Because you're like, hey, that person down the street is selling a better product because she can use Swiss meringue buttercream, or and that's not how we need to look at it, because you can make your product amazing without Swiss meringue buttercream, but it can just be frustrating, and you can get in that pity party, right? Especially if you can't use butter. That makes me sad. In Nebraska, you have to include your address, but most people pick up from my home anyways. Yeah, that is hard. That's tough. Is there a place you recommend for single packaging? Courtney, I would get my single packages from Paper Mart. There we go. They're like little baggies from the Paper Mart. JC Gregg, yes, completely. They are for our protection. We don't want to get anyone sick. We don't want to be sued, right? And liability insurance is a must. You have to have it for farmers and farmers. I'm not promoting farmers insurance. You have to have it for your farmers markets, and a lot of wedding venues will ask for your liability insurance too, because they don't want that to fall on them either. So a lot of vendors will ask for your insurance. So it is really important. But it is frustrating too. Your struggles are validated. Let's see. Can't use butter. That's crazy. I know, Paula. Earth balance. Okay. Susie, I know that like peanut butter and stuff is allowed, so I would assume that the butters from plant-based would be allowed as well. Have you tried aquafaba as a replacement for Swiss meringue? Nancy, I haven't. I haven't played around with aquafaba at all. I haven't even tried vegan macarons yet, which I really want to try. Camilla's recipe from Pies and Tacos. Yes, Cookie Nibs, yes. Have you guys listened to the Forager podcast? His name is David, who runs this. He has a whole website, and it is amazing. I really recommend it. If you go to David's website, Forager with 2 R's. Let's see if I'm really bad at spelling. So Forager.com. You can try that. Not promising. Forager.com. You can go state by state. He's worked with tons of other bakers and knows the laws really well in each state. So he's a great wealth of knowledge. There's bakers all around that he has these interviews with, a podcast, and you can hear all of their different ways of getting their licensing or their stories, and it's really inspiring. If you're looking for that extra nudge to get your own business off the ground, I recommend his podcast. There are people from 13 years old to, retired people wanting to have a little extra cash on the side with, it's just a wide range of people, and it's really, really interesting. Let's see. But yes, Cookie Nibs, back to what you said is the lobbying. This is how laws get passed, right? Is in each state, it's fun to listen to this podcast because you hear some of the people that actually push these laws into action and change the laws to allow them to sell from their home. And it's something that it's been on my heart for a while, but it's like, where do you start to get maybe a Facebook group? I think there are Facebook groups to lobby for certain states to get the cottage food approved stuff. I think Illinois is one of the hardest places to sell. There's like a divide between one county that actually allows you around Chicago area to sell from your home, and then the other area that doesn't. And it's like people are mad that it's just a county line, depending on your address, is your ability to sell or not. Mary asked what type of liability insurance I recommend. I just went with the insurance I already had, like car insurance through and home insurance through, and they offered liability insurance, which was only about $35 a month. It's really not out of this world expensive, and it helps. Another thing when thinking about a business is, you can get an LLC or a sole proprietorship. And what I've learned recently, I was just sole proprietor, because LLC will make you pay that $800 fee each year. No matter what, you have to pay that fee no matter how much you make for taxes, like as a selling permit or something. Excuse my uninformed bit about the LLC, but what I recently learned is that it's really not worth it if you're your own business. Like if you plan to bring in employees and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, get an LLC. But if it's just you in your kitchen, it's not worth it. The whole idea of, well, I want to protect my house and my assets. I hear that the LLC doesn't really necessarily do that as much as we think compared to the sole proprietor. I got flipped for $2.99. So Vanessa, is the FLIP or flip $299 a year, not a month, right? Mine is $35, so let's see. 35 times 12, 400. So yours is way cheaper. Wait, am I paying 400? 35 times 12. Flip seems to be a good choice. Okay. And unemployment insurance if you are LLC. Which liability insurance? When Macs have been sitting for 1 to 2 hours and still aren't drying, what would you do? Caitlin, if you're talking about drying, like before you bake your macarons, I have 1 million coverage for 340. Dang, I feel like we should all flex how much. I don't even know how much mine covers, to be honest. But that's amazing. That's a lot. My people who sued me would be sorely disappointed in what they could get. Okay, my company is incorporated. S Incorporate. What is that? S Corp. I don't know what that is. $25 a month with flip. That's nice. That's doable, right? It's not bad. And if it protects you from accidentally, like if you do somehow make someone sick, it's totally worth it to have $25 a month. Is the tax filing. Oh, interesting. I've never heard of S Corp. Hi, Nina. S Corp flows through to the individual. I'm going to have to look this up. I love learning new stuff. Let's see. There are Sole LLC. Okay, well, I'm going to look these last two up. I was limited to thinking there were only two. Okay. So, yeah, we kind of got off topic on labels, but this is all great talk. Do you guys have more questions regarding this stuff? Because I'm all for it. Again, I'm, no business expert. In California, you pay $800. Yeah. So Nancy, it was. I didn't know if it was $700 or $800. So just by being an LLC and being registered as an LLC, you have to pay $700 or $800 a year. Sorry. It is a corporation. Okay. So you pay the taxes. I feel like we all, we need to keep our expenses in order and register all that we're making, so we all pay taxes on it. So that sounds really like an interesting choice, is the S Corp. Interesting. Best just to check the local state laws and consult with an attorney. I love this for large quantity baking. Yeah. So I didn't even do wholesale. I feel like once you get out to wholesale and everything, something like that might be really good. Whenever someone would address a wholesale partnership with me, we could never agree on a price. When you do think, let's go wholesale, if you get your Class B license, just make sure you're getting paid what you're worth. And because it's hard, I feel like, with the efficiency of a home kitchen, unless you are in a commercial kitchen, can be hard to actually make sure you're getting your time's worth, your time worth. Your time? Okay, I'm done. In New Jersey, we can't sell anything. I know, Yolanda. I think they're trying to change it though, right? I've heard that because I have a friend in New Jersey. It's such a bummer. I don't understand it. I know, Amanda, I don't know enough about business. I try to learn and I get little bits here and there as you go through the process, but I am by no means well versed in it. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this and learning more about. Did you wait until you had a certain volume of clients before formalizing the business paperwork? Paperwork. You know what? I didn't. I was really quick I wanted to make it official. I wanted a business. At first, I was actually doing classes. So I didn't get my CFO right away, but I established my business because I was going into people's homes and doing basically like entertainment. I was demoing and showcasing how to make croissants and macarons and eclairs. What else did we do? Marshmallows. You know, I was going into people's home and being like their personalized teacher, and for, you know, bridal showers and other events. And so I just got a business license for that. And then people liked the product that we were making in their kitchen so much, and they were saying, hey, you know, you should sell this stuff. And I was very reluctant at first, but I finally realized this might be a really great way for me to have something of my own while I was dealing with, you know, smaller children and not feeling comfortable leaving the home yet. So it worked well, but they kind of had to push me into it. I didn't want to sell my stuff at first. So, and then I got my CFO license when my business was already established. That's a great question. So Cookie Nibs says, how much do you pay yourself when selling macarons to be sure you're making enough of a profit? I'm really bad at seeing my time as my worth, you know, or valuing that time. So here's what I did, but I still didn't pay myself enough. I would take each ingredient and have each flavor that I did costed out per unit, right? So how much almond flour you put in, divide that by your whole bag and the whole bag's cost, and figure out how much one macaron costs for each flavor. And then I made sure that it was, you know, a certain amount over, and I think it ended up being about $12 an hour is how much mine paid me, but it's not a lot. Let's see here. Did you miss it? Baking from home in the farmer's market? Do I miss it? I miss farmer's markets so much. I miss having some quiet time at home and baking too. I do. I miss it a lot. Guys, I'm not crying. Okay. Cost of goods. What is cost of goods? Is that like the shorthand, Amanda, of figuring out each thing? I don't know you can't do CFO forever, basically. Yeah. No. You don't have to say sorry. Yeah. Okay, so that's the shorthand. Amanda, are you in business? business, did you go to business school? Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, when calculating time, did you include macaron rest time and bake time? You know what? I did. I took out the whole amount of time that I was in my kitchen and kind of tested that out. But yeah, sorry. I do miss it. I loved the community. It definitely makes you appreciate all of the people working in your community to make things run and to feed everyone. So I loved the farmers markets. But yeah, CFOs, I mean, they're not going to make you rich, right? Unless you're able to do, you know, like large wedding cakes in your own kitchen. You can make a good amount with that. But I don't think anyone really gets into the food industry to make it rich. It's more the passion that drives us all. Okay. Oh, sorry. Was someone asking what a CFO is? Yes, Cottage Food Organization. Thank you. It sounds fancy though. It makes you sound like the financial person. I don't even know what a CFO stands for, but you know, there's another term. Okay. It's difficult to value your time when you love baking so much. It is. It's like you definitely have to make sure you guys pay your worth, because it's so easy to discount it when you enjoy it. Chief Financial Officer. Thank you. Amanda, we need you up here in front of the camera. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is just a period of time, and I'll do whatever soon. I gotta stop, guys. Okay, seems you would have to sell a ton of max to grow and help. Yeah, you know what? And if you're in a commercial kitchen, if you get to that point, there were so many times in Pasadena, at least, where I weighed my options and I really wanted to get into a commercial kitchen. You can pound out a ton more. They have the convection ovens, multiple trays in at once, and it could be worth it if you have a lot of wholesale accounts and cafes that you are supplying. So it's definitely, you can grow and you can make this into your business, and if a brick and mortar is what you're wanting eventually, you could, or just renting that kitchen space and starting to sell via email and shipping if you want to get into that whole thing. There are great possibilities with all of this, and the CFO, the cottage food part, is just the stepping stone, right? This is what it's meant to be, is just that you get to build up your customer base, maybe make some money, and then really know what you're doing once you get that brick and mortar. Although right now it's so hard with COVID for any business that has a brick and mortar. I feel terrible for them. How can CFO companies, Amanda, so do you know a lot of how can we support you financially during this time, or just in general with CFO companies? You can order from your local CFOs. Is that what you mean? Like how to support? So that people like that, Amanda? Yes. JC Gregg said piggyback off of someone that doesn't sell macarons, and then you can share their kitchen space. That is an amazing idea. I've heard of people also using like church facilities, their kitchen, and they rent it super cheap. There's so many options if you can't sell from home, or if you want to be more efficient, and you can definitely like go into, I've heard of one of the bakers started to use during the nighttime another cafe's kitchen, and they let her, and then she also sold her macs in their coffee, so it was like you build these relationships with local businesses, and not only do you get a fun community and a work base, even if you kind of pass them in the nighttime or you're not using at the same time the kitchen at the same time, it's just really, it feels so rewarding to be able to also share and give to a local community and they give back. So the totally great idea, JC. How many macarons were you making per week? I would only bring about 300 macarons. So I was very part-time. It was a very small market. Let's see, it's definitely, yes. And I'd also do croissants. I sold financier. And you know, I didn't just do macarons, but those were definitely the biggest selling point. And like, what else? Like if you saw these pumpkin brioche during, you know, certain holidays, I would do some brioche as well. I totally agree, JC. We can't be defined by, you know, the hardships, right? We have to be able to think outside the box, which is really fun. And if you give it, like, you know, if you have that good attitude, it can be, when you get a certain recipe down and it tastes amazing and you realize like it's safe, shelf stable and everything, and you're like, pat yourself on the back. It feels so good to set up shop to wherever you get to and to sell your product that you've worked so hard on and you've worked so hard to get there too. So lots of great options. I appreciate the positivity, JC Greg, because there is, I was starting to cry, but I'm, you know. Okay. Lodges, they're always looking for additional income too. Schools, yeah. Schools, is Jell-O allowed to sell? I don't know. I don't know if Jell-O is allowed to sell. To be honest, I don't think Jell-O stays for too long. I think it doesn't seem like there's anything that will go bad in it, but it might leach out its liquids. Okay. So I feel like I'm going more than I was supposed to go today. How long have we been here? Let's go over really quickly royal icing. I don't know how long we've been on. There we go, 47 minutes. Okay. I was trying to be short and concise today because I know a lot of people can't watch a whole live. I'm bad at editing myself. So if you guys want, so some areas do not allow you to have royal icing, but if you bake these onto your macarons, like on my lip video, then it's baked, so they should allow it. So that's why I also really enjoy this baking royal icing onto your macarons, because you can get around the cottage food restrictions. Anyone have trouble selling like sugar cookies with royal icing? I know that a lot of people in California were saying that you weren't allowed to. So this is a way to get around it with your macarons. You bake it on, and we don't really have to even do much, but someone was asking like, what is a transfer sheet and stuff? Aw. Steffi, I'm so happy that you were able to do that. Hey, it takes so much courage to put yourself out there, especially the first time. It's so nerve-wracking. Congratulations. That is awesome. Yes, Quan, thanks for being here. If you guys want to do royal icing stuff, some people were asking, so you can stay on, or we'll see you in 2 weeks. But this is a transfer sheet, so I just print out whatever design you want. This is a little bow. It's from the Gingerbread Cutter Company. I just printed it from online and put a piece of acetate or parchment over it. Someone was telling me that you can, Nancy was saying that you can use cello bags as well, and they come off nice and easy, which is like the same as acetate, so that if you don't have acetate, it can kind of be expensive. That would be a great option if you have extra cello bags. And I've missed you. Let's see, I think of course, Dana, it sounds like you are you run your own business, so I really appreciate you chiming in and sharing your knowledge. Okay, so Vanessa said Maryland doesn't allow royal icing, which is bonkers to me because it's like pasture, like this is shelf stable, but I've had a lot of people say that they can't do royal icing, so I thought you could try this baking method, right? And if you've seen the videos, you can pipe on small details while the royal icing is wet onto your resting macarons, and it works. Always, this is royal icing. It's re-whipped. I mean, I'm re-whipping it now, but it's been in the fridge for a while, and it will start to leach out some of its liquid after it sits for a while. Just remix it before doing this, because you don't want straight water coming onto your macaron, right? So mix, 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 and then choose a small tip. If you're piping directly the wet royal icing onto your macaron, then make sure that it's a small, small tip. If you are putting a dried royal icing transfer onto your macaron, then you can do a little bit bigger of a design. So this is gonna just be, I'll just pipe a couple bows. But if you can see here, I did this previously. Ooh, it freezes well too. So just a little thing like that, and then put it on. Some people make their own sprinkles out of royal icing, so this would work for sprinkles too. You can make sprinkle decor. You can't you use meringue powder for royal icing? Yeah, this is meringue powder. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this isn't shelf stable, but because it has the egg whites in there, a lot of jurisdictions don't allow it. So yeah, all you do, you get your plastic bag or your reusable bag, whatever you have, a coupler. If you have a little coupler, it's just, you put this plastic thing in, and then you put on a small tip, and then you make sure it stays in with this. It kind of holds it in if you haven't used a coupler before. So here's a Wilton one, super small. And then I'll just show some piping really fast. I am not a royal icing star. This is not my forte. I just wanted, because some people were asking about it, to show it really fast. You want your icing to be pretty thick. So also when you remix, you're looking for a consistency that is not going to spread too much. If you're doing like a flower or something that you want petals to kind of stay like textured, then definitely you want a thicker royal icing consistency. What I used on my lips and everything was like a 25-second, or I think it's called a line, like what you do for lines, the outside like lines, and it kind of melds in with 25 seconds. So it's pretty stiff. It's not flowy. You can make royal icing with icing sugar. Okay, so you can use your egg white powder just to make it, and it won't have that extra, the extra crud that the meringue powder has. That's good to know. Yeah, I mean, you can use real, Abby, I give my royal icing recipe out in my macaron ebook. So, but you can definitely, if you get this, there's a recipe on the back. Probably any product will have a recipe for its meringue powder. Yeah, you're gonna say it's more forgiving, and then I'm gonna show you guys the. So on this piece of parchment, it's taped onto my paper that has my design on it, right? And I'm just going to see if you can see. Pipe, little bow. I'm hungry, so of course I'm gonna make little hearts for the bow. And then you have to let this dry completely before you can put the, not completely, but have it dry a little bit to like have a bit of a skin over it, and then you can add this little stripe down it, right, to make it more of a bow look instead of just a random bone. I think it looks like a bone if you don't have the middle part. So just use a scribe, and then you got your perfect little bow. And then you don't have to worry about messing up your batter either if you like have your wet macarons and you're piping this on and you mess up. That's a bummer, right? So at least you can like pick and choose the transfers that you have and make sure they look nice. I could have used some little small like cooking tweezers when I was doing my hearts with these royal icing bows, because my fat fingers would get in the way. But yeah, that's as easy as this. I haven't tried huge designs yet, but I did try larger bows like this on my macaron, and it worked too. Yeah, so once it dries a little bit, you just kind of put, this isn't gonna be the design you make, so it's not as important that you see, but you want that thicker consistency for smaller details. And if you were making like something way like a cute little bee or something, a little bumblebee or a ladybug, you could use a little bit looser of a royal icing, but you want to make sure that it is dry before you put it onto your macaron. It doesn't take too long. I piped my bows the day of, and then like a few hours later I popped them onto my macarons. Katie says, what happens if we don't follow cottage food laws? If you don't follow them, if you get caught, you can have your business suspended until you obey the rules. If you get someone sick and they sue you, you could be in big time trouble too. Food dehydrators work. Oh yes, I've always wanted to get one of those dehydrators. There we go. I always look at the royal icing, like Lisa from Borderland Bakery. I love watching her, and like just seeing the rows come out of the dehydrator are always so fun for me. I am not patient enough for royal icing cookies. Sugar cookies are not my thing. I love watching other people do it though. Let's see here. What's the difference between, okay, yeah. Thank you, Greg. JC Greg answered that. They're fun to make. Oh, okay, we got people making, you can make royal icing with sugar. Yep, you can make custom sprinkles, right? Okay, sorry, I'm getting caught up in the conversation. I just want to say I love these conversations. I love how informative everyone is and helpful. Thank you so much for being here. No worries, Courtney. Let's see what you said. Did you answer my question about the farmer's market? Did you hand out the entire big packet of ingredients to everyone? Courtney, no. I only handed those packets out to people who needed it. And you can have all of your, if you wanted even, you could just have your ingredients for your fillings listed, right? And then have a sticker, a secondary label already on your macaron box that states the important stuff of what your shells are made of, so that they know it's definitely almonds. Everyone that has a farmer's market probably has a large sign that says these contain nuts, but it's nice to also have that liability, like put that sticker on your boxes before coming too, if you're packaging on site or if they're buying on site. Oh, I didn't read the potty training part. That's amazing. This is a perfect time to be potty training because it's so isolating and you can't do much anyways right now because of the pandemic. So it still stinks though. It's still so stinky. Where did you get your labels? I got my labels from Sticker You. Sticker You. Okay. Did you ever make rose flavored macarons? I did have rose flavored macarons. I like Nielsen Massey rose flavored extract. This is really nice. You just a little bit goes a long way. It's definitely, I put it even in my shells one time, and when it's baking, it's really fragrant, but it's like a good fragrant. It's strong. Some people say they hate it. Some people like it. So you just have to cater to what your customer wants. And yeah, just a little bit though. Yeah, Nielsen Massey is awesome. When I lived in Chicago, we took a tour of their production area. Their what's it called? Factory. It was a really cool business. I know it's an expensive product, but they're really good products. Okay. Okay, guys. I think that's it. If you guys, I'll take a couple questions if you have any, but other than that, I think we're good. This is sort of dried. First step is always the hardest. Yes, yes. Just go for it, right? You can't wait either for the perfect time. It's never going to be the perfect time. Just do it. So how these are kind of, I know you're really far away, but I basically just do a dot, and then you have my scribe do all the work. If you're more skilled at royal icing, you would probably be able to make a nice little section in the middle to look like the ribbon going around it. But I feel like a dot and then kind of just even it out works for me. And then you got yourselves little bows. This one's still like sliding off, but okay. Let me see what your questions are. I'm thinking to, do you list food color ingredients? I do list food coloring ingredients, yeah. I've listed it. Some kids go crazy when they have the red food dye. So a lot of parents would ask me, like, does this have red food coloring in it? So it's good to have the colors listed out too, depending on where you live and such. But I had a lot of customers that did not like food coloring, and they will tell you that. One person was like, I don't know how you eat a blue colored macaron. That is just disgusting to me. So people will tell you their opinions. It's amazing. How does royal icing? It depends on what your design is, Steffi, but these ones took about 2 hours to dry out at room temperature. If you have a dehydrator, like Cookie Nibs was talking about, then it could dry way faster. But I piped these about 2 hours before I made my macarons. Oh, JC Greg, it is a really cool, you should road trip it to Chicago. Thanks. High five. What does it pair? So Cookie Nibs asked, okay, Greg said raspberry, also lychee or lychee, however you pronounce that. What else does it go well with? Rose and pistachio go well together. What else? I feel rose. I'm trying to think of what other rose and lemon. Did that go well together? I feel like I had a rose lemon macaron. Okay. All right, friends. Thank you so much for being here, for making the chat engaging, and for helping one another out. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Ooh, Turkish Delight. I didn't know Turkish Delights were that. I didn't know that was the combo for that. You know what I love that no one else seems to like is spumoni. Spumoni ice cream is the best ice cream out there. Nobody likes it, at least in my family. I made a spumoni macaron because I loved it so much. Ask you, does your camera work? Let me see. How does the camera work? Yeah, so Vanessa, in order to have the camera go work well for you in heat, to keep your stuff cold, like we would have days that it was 100 degrees out and I'd be at the farmer's market using that. You have to have, there are like $50 each, but there's these ice ice trays that you can put into it to keep it cold, or I would just freeze a whole bunch of ice packs, I guess, but they're like flat packs that are in my farmer's market video, cryo packs or something. But I would put a ton of ice trays in there. So you're right, like it's better at insulating and keeping heat in, but it worked well, and my stuff would still be cold by the end of my farmer's market, even in the hot days. But I would make sure that I wasn't going in and out of it all the time, or else that would be a bummer. But it was really hard. At first I tried a ice chest when I brought my macarons to a farmer's market, and it was just so frustrating getting in and out, because the ice chest, you have to get under and find whatever product you need, and it was frustrating. So I really liked that I could put cheap trays into the Cambro Go. Okay. Susie loves spumoni. Yes. JC, Greg, you like spumoni too? Oh my gosh. I feel validated right now. I love that some people like it because I make a spumoni. You do too? Okay. I'm so glad, because I felt like I was just crazy because I love that flavor so much. Okay. My friends, sorry I got a little teary-eyed at one point. I really appreciate you. I have to try it sometime. Yes, Cookie Nibs, try it. Ramos, goodbye. Thanks for being here. And Paula, thank you. Amanda, thanks for being here and shedding some light on the business aspect of things too. That was awesome. Really appreciate you. Okay. Chocolate center. Yeah, I did chocolate shells with, I tried the maraschino cherry compound flavoring from Amaretti, and that's the one I have not liked. So it wasn't my favorite. I still hadn't fully gotten a good cherry filling, but chocolate shells and then pistachio filling, and then that Amaretto. Oh, those are good. That would be good. You're genius. I love all your ideas with flavors. Thank you for being here, everyone. Goodbye, Michelle. Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your week.